Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Albums and Memories, where I talk about albums uh, I have and memories I have about them. Now, usually on this show, I talk about two albums at a time and the memories I have, but this one's going to be a little different. Instead of two, it's going to be three, and I'll tell you why. Cut back, flash back to 2010. It was my second year of college, and I wasn't at class. I was at like it was near the end of the day, and I was like, okay, I'll be at a computer lab. And so what happened was I had the idea where I was like, okay, I want to buy a CD, but I don't know which one. Either I'm going to buy Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill, or I'll buy Radiohead's OK Computer. Now, I already knew at this point some of the songs on both albums, so I decided to test some things. Like, okay, I'm gonna go on YouTube right now and listen to the first tracks on each album. And with the Alanis Morissette album, I listened to a song and I'm like, oh, that's pretty nice. That's good. And then I listened to OK Computer's first track and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna buy Oh, I almost said OK Cupid, OK Computer instead. And so I went to the mall at the HMV back when HMV was still a thing before it got bankrupt, and I bought OK Computer, and then I bought two more albums. So yeah, I bought three albums. And looking back, I could have bought Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill since I had enough money instead of buying since I had enough money to actually buy four. But I'm like, oh, I didn't think about it at the time. So I'm just going to talk about three albums back to back to back this episode, which is going to be a bit of a much. So the first album I'm going to talk about is Nirvana's Nevermind. Now, I don't have much memories of this other than in elementary school, and a friend of mine introduced me to them when I was in the eighth grade. We were talking about um, people with mental illness in terms of a class assignment, and he chose Kurt Cobain, and the first song I ever heard was "Smells Like Teen Spirit," and he was talking about it, and just like what I talked about with Dirt and the Alice in Chains when I heard them both for the first time, with "Smells Like Teen Spirit," I had the same feeling, except it was earlier. My stomach was hurting. I was nervous, and eventually I really liked it. I wanted to get more into Nirvana, and so like I didn't really think of getting this album at any point at this time, but it just so happened like it was at the store when I was in my second year of college, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna buy this. And out of the three I bought, this is the one I least listened to, mostly because I heard a lot of the songs over time, with the exception of like what three or four of them, so that's fine. And so it was fine. Like this is actually a good out. Like in terms of memories, it's actually pretty decent. Um, it was mostly in elementary school. I don't have much in terms of like what I reacted to. Like I just listened to it and it pretty much it was good. It just felt like a glorified greatest hits album. That's how I feel about Michael Jackson's Thriller. Like it's great, but I heard a lot of the songs so much. It's like a greatest hits album, and then two or three or four other songs I never heard of, and like I remember liking this okay, but I just had to kind of move on a little bit, and so like it was out of my CD case before I knew it because it got too familiar. And honestly, the album after that is my personal favorite Nirvana album, but I'll get to it when I get to the dozens of CDs I have right now. And so the next CD I want to talk about is Gorillaz Plastic Beach, which is which I didn't have much expectations considering, Demon Days was really good. And I figured, well, I remember listening to this first song, Stylo, one morning because the music video came out, and I was like, yeah, okay. And so, yeah, I thought it was actually okay. And I remember listening to this the morning after I bought the albums, like the three I'm gonna talk about. I remember buying them, and I remember listening to this album after I cleaned up the house on a Saturday morning, and I was playing Need for Speed Most Wanted 2. And I figured, yeah, this is fine. And I just have pretty decent memories of just listening to this while playing Need for Speed Most Wanted 2 for the PS2, and I was like, yeah, it's fine. Um, but yeah, I didn't think it was as good as the last album, considering this is a lot lighter. Like the lyrics are darker, but it sounds a lot lighter. It's a lot synthier than the trip hop, hip hoppy aspects that was in their Demon Days album. But I actually do remember enjoying like Plastic Beach a lot. And yeah, I actually do like this album even though I don't go back to it a lot. Like it has a DVD documentary in here that I only watched once and I was like, oh, it's okay. I'm not gonna watch it again, but it's fine. I just rather listen to the music, and the music just reminds me of you know second year of college, and that's good enough for me. The last album I have is Radiohead's OK Computer, which is pretty much tied for my favorite Radiohead album of all time. Like I remember the first time I listened to this. It was again second year of college. I was writing in a notebook for my class, and I was listening to this, and I was like, this is a lot more quiet than I expected. This is a lot more spacey and whatnot. And it threw me off the first time. Then I listened to the second time. I'm like, oh, I actually like this a little bit more. Then the third time, I'm like, I love this album. And I remember this album mainly because I got like the winter aspects. Like I remember having Subterranean Homesick Alien in my head during the times when it was pretty much like snowy, like it was cold and snowy, and that's what this reminds me of. Like it reminds me of the winter in 2010 or 11, and it just takes me back to like how cold it was and like how peaceful it was. Even though this is kind of a depressing album, even like I'll get to their album after out of their album before this and how it screwed me up a little bit because this is what I thought the last album was gonna. No, this I had like the album before this is pretty much what I thought this was gonna be. I don't know if makes any sense. I thought Radiohead was going to be more guitar heavy in this, and they are. It's just that they're a lot more quieter, and they're a lot more synthy, and they're a lot more acoustic, and a lot more softer. At the same time, darker. And that threw me off at first, but then I was like, this is my out of the three albums I have, this is my favorite out of them, and I am glad for that one day where I decided to just like listen listen to the first track because Airbag just pulled me in immediately. And one of these days I should get Jagged Little Pill because it's been a few years since I bought this album, and I've bought every Radiohead album ever since. Granted, I should have bought the Bends first, but I've heard a lot of good things about this one, and so I decided, I'm just gonna buy this one, and I only know about the Bends because of the first song I ever heard was Just, but I'm gonna get to that eventually when I get to that. So yeah, all these albums, like these three albums, are really good in my opinion. Well, the memories I have are really good at this. So until like I'm actually surprised at like how different these three albums are. They couldn't be any more different. There's grunge, there's pop, and then there's like alt, like kind of alt rock, art pop, whatever. Not whatever, but if you listen to them, you'll see like if you listen to these three albums in a row, like I did at one point, the first time I actually got these albums, I'm like, holy shit, there's so much mood whiplash here. So yeah, so that's it for these three albums, and I'll do another episode of this pretty soon. So sorry if that happened, if you heard that. So I'll see that I'll do something else like this, and I will see you later.